Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. We have over 1,100 audios available in old school and new school related stuff. This is the AEW review for St. Patrick's Day 3/17/21. Overall, I was not terribly impressed with this show. There's stuff that was good, but it really felt disjointed. It felt like they were doing too much for the sake of moving stories too fast. I think the oversaturation of having too many people on the roster is really starting to show week by week now, and I think it's the biggest problem in the company as a whole. Um, I feel like has been the worst Dynamite in probably 4 months, if not a little longer. Um, Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson defeats Penta. Um, this was a fine match if you're into like the PWG, CZW technical, not the hardcore, but the CZW technical, the old school ROH style. If you don't like that style, you're gonna hate this. I don't know why Cody lowers himself to this stuff when he's capable of telling better stories. And I say lowers too because this might get people to stay for another segment. This is not going to get people to buy merchandise and to get into character development. So anyway, Penta dives out before the bell. Brawl on the floor, which there's too much of on this show. Penta sends Cody into the post. Cody tosses Penta into the barricade. We go back into the ring. Chops by Penta. Cody comes back with a release suplex. Penta comes back with a sling blade for near fall. Cody goes for crossroads. Penta powers out. Hits a backstabber for another near fall. Another thing, too many near falls in this. On the floor, Penta grabs a table, props it up against the barricade. Dumb move with the lights out match later in the show. Cody basically cuts him off, and that goes even further to just kind of killing angles, killing the nature of the way in which things kind of go there. And then, I mean, Cody fires back pretty well, I guess, if you want to do things. But again, throughout and this is just a small psychology pet peeve from someone who's been in the business. But if you want to get over the fact that Cody was injured to a greater degree with the shoulder, then the shoulder should have been the story for most of the match, if not the whole match. And the fact that it wasn't, I don't know, it just feels like they flit around with what they want to do. Anyway, so then we kind of go back to Penta being more aggressive. Penta manages to come back in the ring, lays in chops, runs into a kick. Penta does finally go after the shoulder when he's back in the ring as well. Goes for a Rana. Penta focuses on that injured shoulder and arm. Cody tries to press slam, can't get him through the table. Penta fights out and finds himself on the receiving end of a disaster kick, followed up with a dive onto the table, which didn't break. The table has more restraint than many of the moves style in this promotion. Anyway, back in the ring, we get Penta being more aggressive with strikes. Cody hits a cutter for a near fall, follows up with a crossroads. Penta kicks out, which to me kills the crossroads, which is unnecessary. Cody sends him up for Den's Fire. Penta kicks out of that. So basically, Cody's finishes are looking like they don't really matter. Cody slams Penta's leg into the ring post, follows up with a figure four. Penta reaches a rope for the break there. He hits the arm break spot and then gets rolled up by Cody for the 3. The psychology of how this match ended makes absolutely no sense, and it's below what Cody's capable of. He's settling just to be a good EVP. I mean, I get it. I get that they think this style's going to draw, but you could be more old school, still doing cool high spots, and tell better stories. Penta attacks Cody's shoulder again, chased off by Dustin and the Gun Club. I hate the fact the Gun Club's with Cody. They never explained why. Penta walks out. QT Marshall appeared. He's late to make any real change. Then we go to the Young Bucks being interviewed by basically what looks to be the reincarnated grandfather of Michael Cole, otherwise known as Alex Marvez. Matt says even though Rey Fenix has beaten both of them in singles competition, they're the best tag team. Don Callis shows up, proving why he's one of the best promos. He makes fun of the Bucks, admitting they never attacked him. He then said nothing more than that the Bucks are kind of lame in comparison to what they used to be. Callis said he changed Kenny Omega and that he became... Omega is now a god. He said the Bucks need to reflect on whether they're still the same team they were in New Japan. I don't know that the American audience cares who New Japan is. Even if, let's say, 1/3 of the AEW audience is New Japan fans, which I don't think there is. I think there's like 50,000 U.S. subscribers. And if they get, say, 750,000 in a week as far as viewers, 50,000 out of 750 is like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, like 1/10, 1/14, 1/12, something like that. In other words, it's a really small percentage, and playing to that New Japan crowd I don't think really matters in the long run. Jade Cargill defeats Danny Jordan in a complete squash match. Cargill's fine. I would have done this before she went in there with Shaq, just to give her more shine. I feel bad that it was Danny Jordan, who I think has something with the burn book gimmick. Jordan hits an elbow, runs into a boot. Cargill then tosses Jordan over with a German suplex, hits a wheelbarrow facebuster for a win. Cargill looks good. Jordan could have been used better here. Red Velvet takes a swing at her afterwards. MJF introduces his new stable. Actually, we might as well say Tully Blanchard did, because Tully was the best and most credible talker on this program in a long while. MJF, a very close second. Anyway, MJF and the new group walked out. That includes FTR, Wardlow, Shawn Spears, and Tully Blanchard. I wish they were using different people for this. Not necessarily FTR. They should stay. Wardlow, I think, could be upgraded to somebody better, as could Shawn Spears, but that's the direction they're going. Let's see if it works out. Tully says it's great to be here with another great group. He said 34 years ago that he was part of the most influential group, and he's going to leave wrestling the same way. He said they're the pinnacle of the sport. Tully starts his career with the greatest group and is going to end it the same way. Tully hands the mic to MJF, who said it wasn't easy to take a back seat to Chris Jericho for as long as he did, but that it worked out. His perceived takeover of the Inner Circle was just a fakery and a trick, because he wanted to defeat the strongest faction in AEW and build one even stronger in its remains. The group's name is the Pinnacle. MJF went down the line of the group highlighting the accomplishments, and MJF said that when it's all said and done, he'll be the greatest of all time, and the Pinnacle will be the backbone of AEW for years to come, and they will take what it is. MJF concludes by saying to Jericho that he's better than him and he knows it. Jericho and MJF, I mean, honestly, Jericho should consider retirement, maybe go into commentary, go into being a coach, go into something, but him having a 6-month feud with MJF going over in the end would be phenomenal. Then the obligatory multi-person match, which they don't get any better. Matt Hardy, Private Party, And the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny defeat Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, and Bear Country. I want to call him Beer Country every time. Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson. Um, Basically, baby faces can't work together. Um, Hardy's unit works a little bit better, which doesn't really make sense. Stunt starts off taunting Hardy. Stunt escapes powerbomb and slaps to tag in Jungle Boy. Match breaks down into nuts and junk. Babyface team stands tall. Bear Country tosses Stunt over the top rope. Unfortunately, they didn't launch him out of the building. Instead, they throw him onto a pile. And Boulder tries to take out Quinn. Inadvertently takes out one of his teammates, being Jungle Boy. In the process of all this, Hardy and his team beat down Jungle Boy through the commercial. Bunny gets involved in this. Back from the break, Luchasaurus gets a hot tag where he takes out every opponent. He concludes the flurry with a chokeslam moonsault combination. On Cassidy, Butcher breaks up the pin. Butcher takes a headbutt and fires back with a lariat. Gets hit with another dive from Stunt. Stunt being in this is just ridiculous. Boulder tags in and hits an exploder suplex on Cassidy. Jurassic Express and Beer Country couldn't work together. Stunt tags himself back in where he's overwhelmed by Private Party. Stunt gets a little mini hope spot, and then Private Party hits the gin and juice. Hardy tags in, hits Twist of Fate for the win. This did not need to be on this program. These type of matches do nothing to draw in fans other than go, hey, there's wrestlers on. Who the heck are they? They do moves. Anyway, what a waste of TV time. Good use of TV time's up next, though. John Moxley and Eddie Kingston video played. Moxley said he wants to take a week off, but he's going to fight the Good Brothers. He makes fun of talking Chopamania, and then Kingston gets serious and said that AEW is their yard. He quotes 50 Cent and Tupac before the video ends. This is fine. Christian Cage is interviewed up next by Dasha. Why couldn't they use Dasha for all the promos? Like, Marvez just makes the product look not hip. Anyway, Dasha asks the dumb question of why Christian joined AEW. I know, he joined to lose. Anyway, Christian said he's not just a workhorse, but he's the workhorse in wrestling. Just to remind anyone in case they forgot, the only one that he cares about at this point is the World Championship, which happens to be held by Kenny Omega. He said Omega is on his list and on borrowed time as champion. He said his mission is to cement his legacy and outwork everyone. Little bit of a smart promo. Although, I mean, to be honest, I'd rather see Christian with the belt than Omega. But there's very few that I'd want to see less than Omega. We'll get to why in a little bit. But Omega just, Anyway, Moxley and Kingston defeat the Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows. Good Brothers attack Kingston during the entrance. They brawl all over the building before the match, which makes, again, no sense because, well, we're going to have a women's hardcore match at the end of the show. Brothers take out Moxley with a magic killer before the match finally actually begins. Fight now 2-on-1. Good Brothers take turns beating down Kingston, who continues to fight back. Moxley makes his way back into the match. Gallows sends him to the floor with a boot. And Moxley continues to get beat. Moxley and Kingston continue to get beat down. Go to the break. Exploder suplex from Kingston allows a little bit of extra time. He tags in Moxley for the hot tag. Moxley sends Anderson in the corner and hits a shotgun dropkick, fights out, and Gallows tries to get involved. He flattens Anderson with a lariat and followed up. Then there's a pile driver. Moxley takes out Gallows with a tope, Anderson surprises Moxley with a spine buster. Good Brothers hit the double teams on both opponents. Moxley kicks out. They set up the Magic Killer, but Kingston breaks it up and Gallows fights to the floor. Moxley rolls Anderson up with an inside cradle for the win. They sure do like these roll ups, kind of like WWE does. We can't let anybody actually win with their finish on any of the national programs, apparently. Immediately post match, Good Brothers attack and Kenny Omega's music played. I I had a friend who hadn't watched AEW before send me a message, uh, and they go, "Who's the guy with the perm?" Which I quickly figured out was Kenny Omega, and he just said, and he'd been a fan, uh, probably since we were in middle school, and I'm closing in on 40, so there's reference. He goes, "Why should I take a guy who has a perm and is walking around with a shoe in his hand seriously?" And this is a guy who's been away from wrestling for at least 10 years. And it really summed up an outsider's view of Omega. The internet community loves him, but no one who is a casual fan is going to take this guy seriously. Anyway, um, Omega and Callis emerged carrying a chair. Kingston tries to save Moxley. They wrapped Kingston's leg in the chair, Pillmanized it with a stomp. Then they tried to do the same to Moxley's head. Young Bucks run down to stop it all. There's some words between the Bucks, and they refuse the too sweet, and Moxley grabs a chair to chase everyone away. I assume this means the Bucks will eventually turn after their book sales drop off. If not, this whole thing is stupid. But again, the Bucks they're just hardy knockoffs, so I don't really see where they have longevity. Anyway, so Sting and Darby Allin interviews up next. Tony Schiavone welcomes them out, asks Darby Allin about the TNT Championship. Allin said he needs to defend the title more often, and offers an open challenge to any member of the Dark Order in honor of Brody Lee. Lance Archer and Jake Roberts interrupt, calling Allin an indie-rific joke. Archer said he'd put Allin in a coffin. Roberts said the winds of change are coming and warned Sting not to play with fire. It'd be cool if they did something